The rarest armor trim is not what you think it is. After doing a bunch of math on a 10 billion square area in Minecraft, we calculated what is actually the true rarest armor trim. Starting with the easiest one to get and working our way up to the rarest, let's see how each of them fall into this category. The easiest smithing template to get is actually the netherite upgrade. What makes it the easiest one to get is because it's found in bastions. And because bastions can generate anywhere throughout the nether dimension, there's just a ton of these structures throughout the whole dimension. Each bastion averages around 8 chests. You have almost a 100% chance of finding one just by going to one structure. And to find it, you'd only have to walk approximately 413 meters. How far you have to walk to get one template is a way we're measuring how rare these are, as this takes into account how rare the structures are and how rare the templates are within them. Since once you get a single template, you can make more copies of it just by adding diamonds and the unique block which it takes. The second to easiest one is the snout template, where you would have to walk approximately 415 meters. It's common because there's just so many bastions, and going to any of them, you have about a 70% chance of finding one. But bastions can be found very easily by using this speedrunner trick. First, pull up your F3, then pay attention to the E for entities. The first number tells how many entities are in your field of view, where the second number tells the total number of entities being loaded around you. Now increase your render distance and you should see the second number jump up. This means you loaded in a bastion. Then pay attention to the first number as you spin around in a circle. If there's a certain direction where this number got really big, that means the bastion's in that direction. You can narrow this down even further by lowering down your FOV and then scanning that area to pinpoint exactly where it's at. Now all you have to do is walk in that general direction until you find the bastion. This works because there's a lot of piglin entities inside these structures, which makes the number spike up. Now in multiplayer, you are limited to the maximum distance that the server already has set. This means you can turn your render distance up, but you're not going to be able to see any further than what their limit is. So if you can't find a bastion around you, you might have to move to a new area and then try again. Once you get there, remember to use your gold armor, boats, and lava to conquer the bastion. For the next rarest one, you would have to travel out an average of 560 meters, and that is to find the trail route structures. They're only in these 3 types of biomes, often near water, which is where you find 4 unique templates: Wayfinder, Sharper, Razor, and Host. Despite it having the same loot table chance as Snout, there is 7 times less trail runes than bastions, but trail runes have way more gravel that provide the loot than chests within a bastion. The next rarer one to get is the rib one, which you can find at nether fortresses by traveling approximately 568 meters. These are very common throughout the nether dimension. Each one on average provides a little over 5 chests, with each chest having about a 7% chance of getting the rib armor trim. To get one, you typically would have to loot 3 different nether fortresses, but we can use a similar trick to finding bastions to find these nether fortresses easily. What you want to do is press F3 and G and stand inside of the chunk shown here. Then press Shift and F3, which will pull up this pie chart in the bottom right hand corner of your screen. Then you want to select the tick one, which is pushing the number 2 on the keyboard. Then you want to select the level one, which is 1. So press the 1 on the keyboard. Now I want to select the block entities, which shows up as pushing 3. And then once we are in this pie chart here, it might say unspecified, but if you're loading a chest like I'm loading that chest over there, it shows that there is a chest being rendered around me. So you can actually know there's a chest near you without actually seeing it. But what we're looking for is a monster spawner. So what we're going to do is go into our render distance, and we're going to increase the render distance by 1 each time, then exit out of that and load in all the chunks until we actually see a monster spawner appear. So you can see mine actually appeared up. Now it says monster spawner. So we know that there is a monster spawner within 22 chunks in one of the cardinal directions from where I'm standing. So now we go ahead and we're going to lower down the render distance back by 1, like so. And now we're going to reset the pie chart by relogging in single player. In multiplayer, all you have to do is close your F3 and reopen it again. Now we can go ahead and press Shift and F3 again. And now you can see the pie chart does not show the mob spawner because we just lowered our render distance. We can figure out which direction it is from me just by hopping over one of these chunk borders. So if we go over here and hop over this chunk border and walk over here, you can see I just happen to choose the correct location and it appears on screen. Otherwise, you just have to keep doing this for all 4 cardinal directions. So we know it's in this direction, a total of 21 chunks, but possibly any of the chunks on the outer row. So I went exactly 22 chunks out and I actually found the spawner. It wasn't actually another fortress. There is a chance that you do find the spawner, which is part of the treasure bastion, and it's this magma cube spawner right here. So going out to a different area and doing this again, a spawner showed up in the diagonal. So just going this direction, we can find the nether fortress with its blaze spawner and the chest in the corridors to get the templates. The next hardest one is probably one that you thought would be the easiest one to get, and that is the coast template from shipwrecks, because shipwrecks are the most common structure in the entire overworld. But you would approximately have to walk 676 meters to visit just over 3 of them to have a solid chance of getting this template. We are now halfway through all the smithing templates, so if you made this far, leave a like and make sure you're still subscribed. Next up is a structure that is half as common as the shipwreck, but is the only structure in its dimension. That's right, the end cities, which provide the spire template. Despite it being the only structure in this dimension, there's not too many chests inside these things, with only 3 room types that have them: the end ship, the roof staircase, and the room with 2 windows on the side. And the template chance is also low, so you'd have to loot about 3 of them, traveling approximately 1024 meters. The next one is one you probably did not expect to see so early on this list, and that is the war template from the ancient city. Despite these cities being 10 times more rare than shipwrecks, they have so many chests inside them that just by looting one city, you should get your template. But you won't find templates in the chest of this ice structure. With ancient cities hidden below Y level 0, they can be difficult to find if you don't use these tricks. They are found far from oceans, typically underneath the mountain peaks. In single player, you can pull up the F3, or in Biome Builder, you're looking for a PV that says high or peak, a C that says far inland, and an E that has a low value like 1 or 2. Underneath of these locations, you can find the deep dark and have a chance of finding the ancient city. The next rarest template comes from the third most common overworld structure, that is the Ocean Monument. Despite it having one of the most highest drop rates at 20%, there's only 3 Elder Guardians per structure, so you'd have to travel approximately 1200 meters to get this trim. The other 2 Elder Guardians can be found in each of these wings. Considered to be the rarest template in the game, the silent one from the ancient city isn't actually that rare. Despite it only having a 1% chance of showing up in these chests, there is just so many chests within an ancient city, you're just bound to find one after traveling approximately 2,200 meters and looting just over 3 different ones. The silent and war templates are difficult to get because the structure is hidden, unlike the other ones where you can normally fly with Elytra to just find them. But we are not looking at how difficult they are to get, but how rare they are within the world. Now, although Silence might not be the rarest armor trim, it is definitely the most unique looking one. So you might be wondering, what is more rare than the Silence trim? We are now in the top 5 rarest trims, and in 5th place is the Wild one, which comes from Jungle Temples. Despite having one of the highest loot chances, 1/3 per chest, there's only 2 chests per temple, and there's under half as many temples that there is ancient cities, needing to walk about 2,400 meters to get it by visiting 2 of them. In 4th place for the rarest trim to get is actually a bit of a debate. Since the majority of players play single player over multiplayer, it's probably the I one, which comes from Strongholds. Because Strongholds are a bit special as they only generate within the first 24,000 blocks, and there's only a set number of 128 of them per any given world. In single player, you don't have to compete with other people, you just have to walk out the approximately 2,500 blocks to have the almost guaranteed chance of finding one in your first stronghold. But this one's debatable because in multiplayer, it's very much the opposite, where some person could purposely loot all 128 of them and have complete monopoly over them, in which case the I1 would be considered the rarest. Although once that person sold any off, those templates could then just be copied to make infinite amounts for everyone else on the server. And because we're looking at how rare it is just to get the initial one, I wouldn't consider this one the rarest. The next one comes from the rarest structure of them all, even more rare than a stronghold for typical players, and that is the Woodland Mansion. But it's the initial walking 2,800 blocks to find the structure, which makes it 3rd place. Despite each chest having 50% chance of giving you the Vex template, there's only about 6 chests that will give you the template per mansion, because trims don't appear in the storage chest or specialized chest. The second rarest template of all of them is the Dune one from the Desert Pyramid. This is because these pyramids are the 3rd rarest structure of all, and they only have 4 chests inside them with a relatively low chance of pulling the trim. To get one, you would have to loot about 2 of them and travel approximately 3,000 meters. The rarest armor trim in Minecraft is the Sentry from the Pillager Outpost. Despite these structures being twice as common as Desert Pyramids, they only ever have a single chest, so you'd have to travel approximately 2,300 meters and search 4 days just to get your first template. So if you want to make the rarest armor set, you would want to use the 4 rarest templates, because that means you had to go to 4 different structures rather than just making copies of the rarest one. We would then put this on netherite armor, as that is the rarest armor set, but when it comes to trim, the most expensive would be netherite trim on netherite armor, but it doesn't show off the unique templates as well as diamond on netherite. So if we take the helmet from the Mansion's Vex template and the iconic eye trim chest plate from the Stronghold with the bullseye look of the Sentry pants that came from the Outpost, and to finish it off with the wavy pattern from the Desert Pyramids Dune trim, which makes this the rarest armor trim set. but this is nowhere as near as rare as the rarest items, blocks, and mobs, including a mob more rare than all the atoms in the universe. Check it out with this playlist here, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.